March 12th, 2023. You guessed it. Hit that subscribe button if you haven't before the world just completely ends. What's going to happen if we have a massive bank run tomorrow? What's going to happen if all the banks just all of a sudden collapsed in the United States, right? I'm going to tell you my thoughts on it, how this would go. All right. First of all, if we had a bank collapse and tomorrow people start running out trying to withdraw money, the banks would just simply close and refuse to allow you to get your money out. I know some of you are going to sit there, they can't do that, but yeah, they can. They will just close and say, we're having technical issues with this or that, we can't process this or that, and they would just close to protect their money because, believe it or not, the bank does not have everybody's money in that bank. It's spread out everywhere. They have maybe 5-10% of the money money that's in savings actually in the bank. That's all they have in the bank. Now, what would happen long-term effect, right? A lot of people think, well, if the banks collapse Monday, everybody will just quit going to work Tuesday. No, they wouldn't. Because what would happen? Okay, here's what would happen. You would have people that at work, your bosses or whatever, the owners of the companies would be telling you, your money's fine, we're trying to move stuff around, we're going to get you paid, just keep coming to work. Now, some people will say, I'm not going to work, I'm not doing it, if I'm not getting paid, I'm not going. But a vast majority of people will continue to go to work. Why? Because they believe what they're told. It's plain and simple. They believe that, hey, they're trying to move money around here or there and trying to get us paid, right? Well, in fact, there's not any money to pay them, right? That would go on for a lot of people nowadays get paid every 2 weeks. Some people get paid monthly. Very few people get paid weekly nowadays. But this would stretch out the first pay period. Let's say the first pay period's 2 weeks from Monday, right? Well, people would work that 2 weeks, and then when they didn't get paid, they're being told, we're going to pay you. We promise you we're going to pay you. We're still trying to move stuff around. And then you would have people then would say, well, I'm not going to work no more. But you would still have people who believe in them that would stay at work, right? So what I'm getting at, it would take about a month of people not getting paid before the whole thing's just collapsed. Why do I say that, right? How do you know that, or why do you think that? People believe what they're told. Plain and simple. You want to trust in people. You want to believe in what they say, right? You want to trust them. It's just the way most of us are designed. Me, I don't trust anybody. I've been asked, who do you trust? I said, I don't trust no one. I don't even trust myself sometimes. So there's my response to that. We all make bad decisions, right? But we learn from them. What's going to happen is it would take about a full-blown month of banks being closed before everyone finally would just realize, hey, something's wrong here, we're not getting paid. Because most of them would be thinking, well, the government's going to step in, they're going to help us, they're going to do this, they're going to do that. We saw it during the pandemic, right? The government's going to step in, they're going to help us. Always remember how long they fought over $600 for the American people, but how quickly they'll send money to another country. You need to always remember that. Don't ever forget that. How hard they fought each other in Congress over $600 to the American people. But my feeling is it would take a full-blown month before everything just collapsed once the banks closed, because people would still, believe it or not, there's a lot of them that would still go to work because they would believe their bosses are telling them, hey, you're going to get paid, we're trying to move stuff around, we're trying to do this, this, and this, we're going to get you paid, we promise you. How many times have you been asked, in your lifetime maybe to work over or something like that, and then when you get your check, there's a little discrepancy there, right? And you have to go back through and be like, hey, you told me if I worked over this date, I even know some places. One place where I used to work was notorious for asking you to work over or stay past the hours you were allowed off the clock, type deal. Don't do that. Don't do that if they ask you to do that, because they're going to rip you in the end. But guys, it's very simple. If the banks collapse, if they all closed Monday, every bank in America, it would cause mass chaos. Yes, it would. But the truth to it is, it would take about a month for people to realize, hey, they're not going to fix this. Why? Because people want to believe that, hey, it's going to get better, it's going to get better. This is just a little downturn we're going through. Could they all collapse tomorrow? I don't think they will, but possibly some more of them could close, in the next coming weeks. I told you, start watching what other banks are doing. If they start closing, get your radar up. Like something's going on here. Something's going on. I've told you, don't keep all your money in the bank. Don't. Have it in tangible goods, gold, silver, things like that. I know that stuff's high right now. A lot of channels on here will tell you, go buy silver, go buy gold. That stuff is expensive to buy now. It really is. Even junk silver is expensive to buy, but you need to have it. That's the catch to it. It's one of those where you really need to have it. Put your money into food, put it into, ways to cook without power. Put it into something you can actually use, and keep cash on hand. I had a commenter last night and said cash is good for absolutely nothing. If the bank collapses. That's true. If every bank collapsed and we were out here, your money is just essentially kindling for fires. Cash money. There'll be for a while where people will still accept cash, they'll still accept coins and things like that, but eventually it would turn into, hey, I got to have something to barter with. There's a video I done a while back. One of the cheapest barters you can get is alcohol. Drinking alcohol, especially around Christmas time, you can catch that stuff on sale. Believe it or not, there's people out there that'll trade just about anything for alcohol if they can't get it. You need to understand that. Or tobacco. It's just the way it is. Some people have vices, and some of them, their vices are pretty strong on them. And you know what I'm talking about. But you need to have tangible goods, things you can barter with, things you can trade with, things that you can trade with that do not shorten your preps. And what I mean by that is, if you've got 10 days worth of food, you don't want to be out here bartering 5 days worth of food for something else. You want to make sure whatever you're bartering, you have enough of it that it does not affect your preps that you have put back, that you will not see a shortage in your preps by trading for stuff. Think ahead on this stuff. Do I think this week is the Great Depression starting? No, because I firmly believe that we're already in a depression and people just don't realize it yet. They don't realize it. The other day we stopped at Wendy's. I've told you that is the only restaurant, fast food restaurant I'll stop at because you can still eat for $4 to $5, a meal. And you would not believe the amount of people that were in there. Now, this town is not a very big town I stopped at, but it almost looked like half the town was there eating lunch type situation. I see things all the time, in my area. You used to go get lunch at a local restaurant for $7. Well, now that lunch is $12. Things are going up and up and up. They don't want to call it hyperinflation, but we're almost at hyperinflation. We're almost there where it just becomes unaffordable because your pay has not went up to match how much. If you believe this 7-8% interest, or 7-8% is all that everything's went up, you need to go to the grocery store and look. It's a lot higher than that. I've told you we're around 20-25%. It's just like the unemployment rate. We always hear, oh, it's 3%, it's 1%, it's 2%. We actually saw the true unemployment rate during the pandemic when we saw how many people applied for unemployment. Because then people who work for cash or things like that, who are self-employed, were able to file for unemployment. And we saw the true number of how many Americans was actually unemployed. You know what? It looked like 20%, 25%, didn't it? That's probably our true numbers. It's all smoke and mirrors, but this bank stuff, you need to pay attention to it. Watch what other banks are doing. Don't pay attention to the big headlines, that the SVB bank collapsed, Look at it and be like, all right, I need to start looking to see what these other banks, what's happening to them, are more closing. Because it'll start cascading, bam, 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 bam. And then they'll all close. But I'm telling you, it would take about a month before everybody quit going to work, even if they weren't getting paid. Some of you are going to say, you're crazy, I wouldn't go the next day. You're right, I'm the same way. But you've got to understand, especially after that, how many people would trust in the government that they're going to get paid eventually and would continue to go to work. If you're still watching, hit that subscribe button. I'm sorry it's a long video, it's a little bit longer than normal, but stay safe, get prepped up, keep your head on a swivel, be aware of your surroundings at all times, protect yourself and your family at all times, because at that moment you're the only person that can do it. If you're still watching, hit that subscribe button, get prepped up. If you have money in the bank, it's up to you what you do with it, but keep your eye on what other banks are doing. Not just banks, not just the SVB bank. You need to watch what other banks are doing. If they start falling, get your radar up and pay attention. Stay safe, get prepped up, and hit that subscribe button.